Okay, this is Khan Academy practice test number 6. Calculator part. So use calculator to answer some math problems. Okay, which expression is equivalent? Again, this is a pretty simple one. We can use the Boolean check, but if we do it out by hand, you would have 2x squared minus 4. You got to distribute the negative, so you would have plus 3x squared minus 2x plus 7. Okay, and then that's 5x squared minus 2x plus 3, which is going to be answer choice A. Right. Okay, but if we want to do the Boolean check, let's go over that real quick. Okay, we would pull up our calculator here, and you would put some number in, so say 52, Control var, which is the store button, and then x, so we're going to store 52 as x, and then we can plug in our equation. So we have 2x squared minus 4, 2x squared minus 4, okay, minus negative 3x squared, negative 3x squared, plus 2x minus 7, plus 2x minus 7. Okay, and then we're going to set that equal to answer choice A, 5x squared minus 2x. Plus 3. Okay, and we're going to hit enter, and it tells us true. If it was false, we would go up twice, we'd hit enter, and then we would delete the answer choice here. And we would try answer choice B, which would be plus 2x minus 3. We'd hit enter, and it would tell us false. Okay, next one here. The graph above shows the position of Paul and Mark during a race. Paul and Mark each ran at a constant rate, so we have straight lines. And Mark was given a head start to shorten the distance, so he started at, it looks like, 18 yards ahead of Paul. Paul finished the race in 6 seconds. Mark finished the race in 10 seconds. According to the graph, Mark was given a head start of how many yards? We just found that he was given a head start of 18 yards. So 2 should be C. Yep. Right. And a lot of these I can't zoom in as much. All right. Snow fell and then stopped. So if it fell, it's got accumulation in time. Assuming that when the snow began to fall, it fell at a faster rate than it had initially. Assuming that none of the snow melted during the time indicated, which of the following graphs could model the total accumulation of snow versus time? So as it falls, it's going to accumulate. Right, and then it stopped, so it's going to go flat, and then it's going to accumulate. It falls at a fast rate, so it's going to accumulate at a fast rate. So that looks like A. Right, A and B are both increasing, they stop, and then they increase again, but the difference is it should be increasing faster the second time. So the slope needs to be larger. So it looks like it's going to be A. Yeah, so 3 should be A. Okay, 4. Okay, a website hosting service charges businesses a one-time setup fee of $350 plus $D for each month. If the business owner paid $1,010 for the first 12 months, including the setup fee, what is the value of D? So again, we really have an equation y equals mx plus b. Your initial or setup fee is going to be $350. Okay, so we're going to have b is going to be $350. Okay, there's a rate of $D for each month. So $D, so our slope is going to be the rate, which is D. And then we're looking at 12 months. and $1,010. So $1,010 is your total, the amount the business owner paid for the first 12 months. So he paid D dollars for 12 months. Okay, and then he also paid the setup fee of $350. Okay, from here you just use menu 3.1 in your calculator. No reason to get anything wrong here. Menu 3.1, and you would just put in 100, 10 equals 12. You can just put X plus 350, and then you have to put comma X at the end, and it should tell you that the answer is 55 there. Okay, if you want to do it by hand though, 1010 equals 12D plus 350. So we subtract 350, 1010 minus 350 is 660 divided by 12. It's going to be 55. Okay. $55 per month. Okay, number 5. We have 6x minus 9y is greater than 12. Which of the following inequalities is equivalent? Common factor here is 3, so you can just divide by 3, divide everything by 3, and you're going to get 2x minus 3y is greater than 4, which is B. Okay, you could graph this one and then graph the answer choices and see which one matches up. You would just go to the graph, and then again you hit the delete button to get rid of the f of x, and you pick the relation, and then you can type in your own inequality. But easiest way is just divide everything by 3. You have a common factor divided by that common factor. Okay, 6. Right. The table above shows the summary of 1,200 responses to a survey question. Based on the table, how many of those surveyed get most of their medical information from either a doctor or the internet? So together, the doctor and the internet is going to be, if you add those together, you're going to have 76%. Okay, you have 1,200 responses. So it's going to be 1,200 times 0.76, which is 912. So the answer should be 912, which is C. What number is this? 6. Yeah, so you have 1,200 respondents. We simply added up the number of people, the percent of people who got most of their information from a doctor, and most of the people that got their information from the internet, and together they were 76%, and then we just simply multiplied that by the number of respondents. Okay. The members of a city council wanted to assess the opinions of all city residents, probably a key there, on these types of problems, about converting an open field into a dog park. The council surveyed a sample of 500 city residents who own dogs. See, you can already tell here that they're surveying people who own dogs. They didn't survey everybody. The survey showed that the majority of those who sampled were in favor of a dog park, right? Because those are the people that own the dogs. Of course, the people that own dogs are going to be in favor of a dog park. Which of the following is true about the city council survey? It shows the majority of city residents are in favor of a dog park. No, right? Because it only shows that the people who own dogs are in favor of a dog park. The survey sample should have included more residents who are dog owners. No, they should have included people who are not dog owners. The survey sample should consist entirely of residents who do not own dogs. No, that doesn't seem like a fair sample size. But I mean, maybe it should and would and could. I don't know. The survey sample is biased because it is not representative of all city residents. It's got to be D there. It does not include the people who do not 8. The table above shows the flavor of ice cream and the topping chosen by the people at a party. Each person chose one flavor of ice cream and one topping. What fraction chose? Oh, the people who chose vanilla. So we're just looking at the people who chose vanilla. Alright, there's 13 of those people. What fraction chose hot fudge? 8 of them did. 8 out of 13. So which one's 8 out of 13 here? It's going to be D. What number? 8. So 8 is going to be D. Number 9. The total area of a coastal city is 92.1 square miles, of which 11.3 square miles is water. If the city had a population of 621,000 people in the year 2010, which of the following is the closest to the population density in people per square mile of land area of the city at that time? So we're not looking at the total area, right? What's the total area? Total area is 92.1, 11.3 is water, so let's do 92.1 minus 11.3. So our land area is 80.8 square miles. We're looking for density. So density, we're looking at population in people per square mile. So the number of people is 621,000 per square mile, and there's 80.8 square miles. So we're going to do 621,000 people divided by 80.8 square miles, and that gives us 7,685. Approximately people per square mile. So that's the number of people per square mile, which is going to be B. Yes. So they gave us the total area and the amount of water, so we need to subtract the water area to find the land area, and then it's the people per square mile of land area. Okay, number 10. Between 1497 and 1500, Amerigo Vespucci embarked on 2 voyages to the New World, according to Vespucci's letters. The first voyage lasted 43 days longer than the second voyage, and the 2 voyages combined lasted for a total of 1,003 days. How many days did the second voyage last? Okay, so first voyage was 43 days longer than the second voyage. First voyage was 43 days longer than the second voyage. So if the second voyage is X, first voyage is 43 more than that. Okay, and then if you add them together, the total voyage was 1,003. So that's the second voyage, which is going to make X. First voyage was 43 days longer than that, so 43 plus X gives you your first day. And then together the voyage lasted a combined total of 1,003 days. So we solve this, menu 3-1, right? We would have X plus 43 plus X equals 1,003 comma X, 480. Okay. Yes. Or we could do 2X plus 43. Then you have 2X equals 960, and then X is 480. Okay, but we don't want X, we want how many days did the second voyage last? Yeah, we do. So that's just X. It's just going to be B. Second voyage was 480, the first voyage was 523. Amerigo Vespucci. Or not, I don't know. All right, here we go. 11. Menu 3-2, right? So let's just use the calculator here. You just go to menu 3, 2. You have two equations. You type the first one in the top box, 7x plus 3y equals 8. Okay, and then 6x minus 3y equals 5. In the bottom box, you hit enter, and it gives you 1, comma, 1/3. Okay, you want x minus y, so this is x minus y. 1/3 minus 1 minus 1/3 is simply 2/3. If you can't do that in your head, just use the calculator. 1 minus, control divide, 1 divided by 3, 2/3 right there. Okay. If you want to do this out by hand, you can do elimination because they're lined up pretty well. Those would cancel and you would get 13x equals 13. So x is going to be 1. Then plug it back in. 7 plus 3y equals 8. So 3y equals 1. So y equals 1/3. And then 1 minus 1/3 is 2/3, which is B. Okay, I have to zoom out on this. Okay, 12 to 14 are referring to this graph here. In 1919, H.S. Reed and R.H. Holland published a paper on the growth of sunflowers. Included in this paper were the table and graph above, which show the height in centimeters and then the time days after the sunflowers began to grow. Okay, which of the following periods is the average growth rate of the sunflower the least? So we're basically looking for the growth, the time at which, we still can't fit everything. The growth rate is the smallest. So 0 to 21 is your first option. Okay, it grew 40. Whatever 40 divided, about 62 divided by, or 65 divided by 21, it grow at about 3 centimeters or so. You can find the slope, you don't really need to. 21 to 42, grew a little bit more. 42 to 63, grew some more. And then 63 to 84, right, not very much growth there. So 12 is going to be D. Okay, the function h, defined by h of t plus at plus b, where a and b are constants, models the height in centimeters of the sunflower after t days of growth during a time period which the growth is approximately linear. So h of t equals at plus b. Okay. What does A reference? A is going to be the rate, so B is wherever it's going to have started, right? It's a linear, right? It's telling us approximately linear, so it's linear. So it's y equals mx plus b. Right, so this is your rate. I'm sorry, this is your y, this is like your starting point of your y-intercept, and then A is going to be like whatever your rate is, the amount of increase per day. So the predicted number of centimeters the sunflower grows each day. Yeah, that looks like a good answer. The predicted height? No. That would be this. Predicted height? No. And the predicted total increase in height? Again, no. 13 should be, hey, it's your increase in centimeters per day. Right, 14. The growth rate of the sunflower from day 14 to 35 is nearly constant on this interval. Which of the following best models height in centimeters Alright, so let's go to that. 14 to 35. Okay, that's this part right here. Okay, we basically need a slope. So slope is rise over run. We're changing y, we're changing x. So we're simply going up 20, 40, 60. So we're going up 60 and over 14. We're going to 35, I'm sorry. It was 14 to 35. So we're going up actually 20, 40, 60, 80, 90 or so. And our run here is going to be 21. So 90 divided by 21. It's going to give us about 4.3. Okay, so our slope is about 4.3, so 4.5 looks close. So it should be B.
Yep.
We have to figure out that slope. Alright, 15. Okay, which of the following equations relates y to x in the table above? Okay, well, so we're going from up 16 over 4, so we're basically going up 4 each time, right? 16 over 4, so we're really going up 4 each time. Right, 11 over 4 plus 4, right, is the same as 11 plus 16 over 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. Right, then you're going, oh, I'm sorry, you're going up 14. I'm sorry, let me erase that. You're going up plus 14 over 4. Right, plus 14. I still can't even write it right. Sorry, you're going up 14 over 4 each time, so that's your slope. Right, rise over run, so 14 over 4 over 1. So your slope of your line is linear too, because it's constant. Every time you go up 1 in x, you're going up the same amount. You're going up 14 over 4, plus 14 over 4, plus 14 over 4, plus 14 over 4. So your slope here is 14 over 4, which is 7 over 2, and the only one here that's linear and has a slope of 7 over 2 is this. Okay, but you can also find your x-intercept, right? If you go back 1, so if we subtract 14 over 4, we should get the 0 number, and if you 11 minus 14 is negative 3 over 4, so that even helps our y-intercept is right as well. Okay, so 15 should be D. Right, it's constant because it's going up by the same amount each time x goes up. So it's a linear function, so you know it's not A, you know it's not B, and then we find our slope here, rise over run. You can do change in y over change in x. If you wanted to do that instead, 25 over 4 minus 11 over 4 over 2 minus 1. Right, change in y, change in x. You would get 14 over 4 over 2. And you would multiply by 2 over 2. I'm sorry, 1 half. I'm sorry, 25 over 4 minus 11 over 4 is 14 over 4. Over 2 minus 1 is 1, which is 14 over 4, which is 7 over 2. Okay, so that's your slope. Alright, that's 15. Let's go to 16 here. Okay, this one we should be able to get. Which of the following is equal to the ratio of BC over AB? Right, so BC is going to correspond with, oh, I'm sorry, if you do 180 minus let's first see if these triangles are similar. 180 minus 90 minus 32, you get 58. Okay. And if you do 180 minus 90 minus 58, you get 32. So you have similar triangles, angle, angle, similarity, you got two pairs. So we know sides are proportional. So we know BC, right, is going to match up with, right, it's between the 58 and the 90 is DF. And we know that AB is going to match up with ED, right, the hypotenuses. So we know that BC over AB would equal the same as DF over ED. So BC over AB is going to be the same as DF over ED, which is choice B. Yep, which is answer choice B. Okay, we gotta zoom out on this one again. Probably a little more. Okay. Alright, when designing a stairway, an architect can use the riser tread formula of 2h plus d equals 25, where h is the riser in height in inches, and d is the depth in inches. For any given stairway, the riser heights are the same and the tread depths are the same for all steps in the stairway. The number of steps in a stairway is the number of its risers. So this one's got 5. So for example, there are 5 steps in the stairway in the figure above. The total of a stairway is the sum of the risers' heights as shown. Okay. Which of the following expresses the riser height in terms of tread depth? So we basically just have to rearrange this. We have 2h plus d equals 25, and we just want to get h by itself, so we need to subtract d from both sides, so you end up with 2h. And 25 minus d if you subtract d from both sides, and then we can divide by 2. So h is going to be equal to 25 minus d over 2. You can bring that in front, so it's going to be 1/2 25 minus d, which is going to be answer choice B for 17. Yeah. Okay, 18. Some building codes requires that for indoor stairways, the tread depth must be at least 9 inches higher, must be at least 9 inches, and the riser height must be at least 5 inches. According to the riser tread formula, which of the following inequalities represents the set of all possible values for riser height that meets this code requirement? So tread depth is D. So D must be at least 9 inches, so greater than or equal to 9. And riser height, H, must be at least 5 inches. Which of the following inequalities represents the total set of values? Okay, so we're using then the formula, so 2H plus D is equal to 25. All right, let's assume that the riser height is at minimum, and then let's assume that the tread depth is at minimum. Okay, I'm sorry. Which of the following inequalities represents the set of all possibilities for the riser height? Okay, so we know the riser height has to be greater than or equal to 5. Okay, so we know we can cancel out A. But we also know this has to be greater than or equal to 9. So our minimum, let's just plug in the 9 as our minimum number. So if we use 9, the minimum number here, okay, we're going to get 2h equals 16. We're going to get h equals 8. So in reality, let's think about this for a minute. So we know it has to be greater than 5. Okay, but if we put in a 9, right, if we put in something greater than 9 though, h is going to become less and less. So it's got to be greater than 5 and less than 8. Okay, because that's the minimum. So, right, if 2h plus d equals 25, okay, if h, right, d has to, all we can do to d is increase it. Okay, d cannot be less than 9. Okay, but if you increase d, since these two have to add up to 25, that means h is going to decrease. So that means h cannot be bigger than 8. If h was bigger than 8, right, if you had a larger number than 8, say we put in 9, then you get 9 times 2 is 18, 25 minus 18 is 7. D would be less than 9. Since d needs to be greater than 9, h can't be any bigger than 8. So C is going to be our range. We know it has to be greater than 5, because that's what it tells us. We also know that D has to be greater than 9. Okay, but if you make D anything, if you make H anything greater than 8, D is going to be less than 9, and we can't have that. So the lowest possible value for D is 9, which means the greatest possible value for H is 8, because they inversely affect each other. As D goes up, H goes down. As H goes up, D goes down. So h is the maximum number we can have using our smallest d value. Okay, and then 19, an architect wants to use the river tread formula, so the river, let's leave that up then. River tread formula. Okay, to design a stairway with a total rise of 9 feet. Zoom in. Controls. Okay. 2h. Alright, an architect wants to use he wants to use this formula here to design a stairway with a total rise of 9 feet. So let's first off figure out how many inches that is. So 9 feet is going to be, it tells us 1 foot has 12 inches. Right, so we want 12 inches in the top because we want to be in inches. Okay. So 9 times 12 is going to be 108. Yeah, just to make sure, use the calculator. Don't want to be foolish. Okay, so 108 inches. Feet cancel, and we're left with 108. So we want this thing to be 108 inches tall. The height is between 7 and 8. And an odd number of steps with the architect's constraints, which of the following must be the tread depth of inches of the stairwell. Okay, so we can try it once with 7 and then once with 8. We'll just do that. So 2 times 7 plus D equals 25, and then 2 times 8 plus D equals 25. Okay, this menu 3 won that, but 25 and 14, so you get 14 plus D, so you're going to get D equals 11. And then over here, 25, I don't know why I wrote 28. Okay, 16 plus D equals 25. So subtract 16, D equals 9. We don't care about that, we only care about the height. Yeah, we don't care about any of this. Okay, we want the height. So we know that the total height here is 108 inches. Okay, if the height was 7 inches for each step, right, so you have stairs, and if the height was 7 inches, we can do 108 divided by 7. Which is going to be 15.4. We can do 108 divided by 8. Which is 13.5. Okay. So we need a number of stairs that's between this. So the two whole numbers that are between these two are 14 and 15, right? So we're looking for, must be the tread depth. Which of the following must be the tread depth in inches of the stairway? Okay, so we're looking, we've got to find H first. Okay, I got this. Alright, so we're looking for an odd number of staircases between these two numbers. So 14 and 15 are the only two possibilities, but 14 is even, so we need to go with 15. So we need to go with 15 stairs, 15 steps. Okay, we need a number that's between 15.4 and 13.5. That's a whole number, right? You can't have 15.4 steps. You want a whole number for steps, so it's either between 14, it's either 14 or 15. Those are the two whole numbers that are between those two. Okay, 14's even, so we gotta go with 15. Okay, we can then do 108 inches divided by 15 steps gives us, so 108 inches divided by 15 steps is going to give us a height of, for each step, of 7.2 inches. So each step is 7.2 inches tall, and now we want the tread depth. So we're going to do our formula here. 2 times 7.2 plus D equals 25. So we can do 2 times 7.2 is 14.4 plus D equals 25, and now we can do 25 minus our answer there, and you get the depth is 10.6, which is answer choice C. That was a good problem. That's 19. Yep. Okay, so you first needed to figure out the height, how many steps it had. To figure that out, you knew the total height was 9 feet. 9 feet is the same as 108 inches, so we have a total height of our staircase of 108 inches. We know the riser height is going to be between 7 and 8. So we divided 108 by 7, that would be 15.4 steps. 108 by 8, that's 13.5 steps. You have to have a whole number of steps, right? You can't have decimals here. So the two numbers are 14 and 15, but they tell us we wanted an odd number. So we're going to go with 15. So if we go with 15, 108 inches divided by 15 steps gives us a height of 7.2 inches per step. And then we can then use the equation, or the formula, to find then the depth. So 2 times 7.2 plus D equals 25. You can then just use many of 3, 1. Right, that's on number 20. Okay, we want to know the sum of the solutions. So this is a quadratic, so you can just put it in the calculator. Let's do that. The sum of the solutions. So let's go to our calculator, go to the graph. Okay, again, backspace to delete this, we just want relation. X minus 6, parentheses, x plus 0.7, parentheses, equals 0. Right? We really didn't want that. Let me start over, because we're not going to be able to menu. Right. New document. Right. We don't want it to equal 0. Let's just say f of x is going to equal that, and then we can find our x-intercepts that way. So let's do f of x and then x minus 6. Okay, and then we have x plus 0.7. Okay, and now we want our x-intercept, so we use menu, analyze graph, zeros. So we have 0.7, menu, analyze graph, zeros, and we have 6. So 0.7, negative 0.7 and 6, and then it wants the sum of those numbers, so negative 7 plus 6 is going to be 5.3. Okay. So one more time, we put in the graph, and we simply find the x-intercepts here. Okay. So our x-intercepts were negative 7. Oh, we can just use this too. This is even easier. So if they equal 0, then x equals 6, right? And x equals negative 0.7 from here. They already have this solved for us, so then 6 plus negative 0.7 is going to be 5.3. 20. Let's see. Again, or you could graph it and then find the zeros like we did. Either way is good. 21. Okay, a study was done on the weights of different types of fish in a pond. A random sample of fish were caught and marked in order to ensure that none were weighed more than once. The sample contained 150 largemouth bass, of which 30% weighed more than 2 pounds. Which of the following conclusions is best supported by the sample data? Okay, the majority of all fish in the pond weighed less than 2 pounds. Nope, because maybe it's easier to catch large fish or small fish, we don't know. The average weight of all the fish in the pond is approximately 2 pounds. No, that was the weight of the largemouth bass that were caught. And it wasn't the average weight. 30% of them weighed more than 2 pounds. It wasn't the average. Approximately 30% of all fish in the pond weighed more than 2 pounds. No, only 30% of largemouth bass. And then approximately 30% of all largemouth bass in the pond weigh more than 2 pounds. Yep, presumably that is likely to be true unless it's easier to catch larger fish. I don't know if it's easier to catch larger fish. Maybe it is, so maybe they're all false, but that's the one that's best supported. Okay, we have electoral votes and frequency. 21 states with 10 or more electoral votes shown on the table below. Based on the table, what is the median number? Okay, so we gotta find the median number. Okay, so if we were to list all of these out, you know, we'd have 10, 10, 10, and 10. We'd have 11, 11, 11, and 11. Right, 4 times. 10 4 times, 11 4 times. We'd have 12 once. Right, so you could list all those out. That's fine. I'm just going to go in order here. So as I cross off 4 of these, right, median's the middle number. The number in the data that is in the middle, numerically in the middle. So those are your 4 largest data points. Your 4 smallest data points are all 10s. Okay. Your next 2 largest are 21s, and then 3, 4. So there's your next 4 largest data sets, 17, 20, 21, and 21. I'm going to cancel off then 4 of the 11s. Okay, and then as you cancel off 2 of these, you can only cancel off 2 of these, which means 15 is going to be our median. If you want to write them all out though, we can do that. 12, 13, 15 occurs 3 times. Then you have 17, 20, 21 twice, and then 27, 31, 34, 55. And then we can cancel them off one by one from the front and then the back. And you're left with the median number of 15. Which is option B. Okay, an experiment ball was dropped and it allowed to bounce repeatedly off the ground until it came to rest. The graph above represents the relationship between the time elapsed after the ball was dropped and the height of the ball above the ground. After it was dropped, how many times was the ball at a height of 2 feet? Okay. What I don't like about this is your instinct here on how they ask it is how many times did it bounce up to 2 feet? But the question is how many times was it at 2 feet? And it was at 2 feet, 1, 2, 3. And this is another case where multiple choice questions are awful because it's really just a tricky question. Because I remember when I was going over this last night, I definitely got this wrong because I was thinking after it was dropped, how many times did it reach a height of 2 feet by bouncing up? But the question is how many times was it at 2 feet? It was at 2 feet on the way down originally, on the way up, on the way down. So it was at 2 feet 3 times. Which is C. Yeah. Alright. 24. The customer's monthly water bill was $75.74. Due to a rate increase, her monthly bill is now $79.86. To the nearest tenth of a percent, by what percent did the amount increase? So percent is final, or percent increase is final minus initial divided by initial, right, times 100. And that's your percent increase, your PI, if you will. Okay, so your percent increase is going to equal your final 79.86 minus 75.74 divided by your initial, which was 75.74 times 100. So just do it all in the calculator. 79.86 minus 75.74 equals divided by 75.74 and then times 100, and that's 5.4%. 24 should be D, and it is. Okay, final minus initial divided by initial. Final minus initial divided by initial. Can't say it enough. Okay, here we have a table. Okay, some values of the linear function are shown above. Okay, so basically it's going up 4 each time. If you want to find your slope, rise over run. Right, or change in y over change in x is a good way to do it. So pick two y values, 4 minus -2, and then 2 minus 0. So that's going to be 6 over 2, which is going to be 3. So it's going up 3 every time, so 3 over 1. So if you want f of 3, right, you're going up 1, you got to go up 3, so it's going to be 7. So B. Okay. Another way to do this is you could use the calculator. So we can put this in our table. So if you go to the calculator, we want to add a spreadsheet here. So I guess the easiest way is just go to new document. We want to add a list in spreadsheet. We'll call this X. We'll call this Y. We'll put in our data. 026. -2,416. Okay, you go to a point over here, you hit menu, we want statistics, so stat calculations. It said it was linear, so we want mx plus b. first column was x, our second column was y. Okay, and it tells us our formula, y equals 3x minus 2. Right, so y equals 3x minus 2. We wanted the value at x is 3, so y equals 3 times, well, let's pull it back up. Okay, we want the value when x is 3, right? F of x. So we want x to be 3. So 3 times 3 minus 2. It's going to be 9 minus 2, which is 7. Okay. 26. I have to zoom out again. Okay. The gear ratio R to S is the ratio of the number of teeth of two connecting gears. The ratio of the number of revolutions per minute of the two gear wheels is S to R. The ratio of the number of revolutions per minute of two gear wheels is S to R. In the so it's reverse. The number of teeth. In the diagram below, gear A is turned by a motor. Turning gear A causes gears B and C to turn as well. If gear A is rotated by the motor at a rate of 100 repetitions per minute, revolutions per minute, what is the number of revolutions per minute for gear C? Okay, gear ratio is R to S. So if the gear ratio of A to C is 20 to 10, so let me do this, A and C. So the ratio is 20 to 10, right? So that's basically 2 to 1. Right? Gear A has twice as many teeth as gear C. Okay? It tells us that the ratio for the revolutions per minute is the reverse. So if the ratio for teeth is 2 to 1, then the ratio for revolutions per minute is going to be 1 to 2. Okay, this was teeth, and this is revolutions per minute. Okay, which means that this is going to revolve twice as fast. Gear C is going to revolve twice as fast as gear A. So if gear A rotated 100 revolutions per minute, gear B is going to rotate 200, right? So if gear 1 goes at 100, gear 2 is going to go, or you can think of it this way, 1 over 2, right? It's going to be 100 over x, and then x is going to equal 200 when you cross multiply. Okay, so the 20 teeth to 10 teeth, so 2 to 1. You flip your ratio to find the revolutions per minute. So if the ratio of teeth in A to C is 2 to 1, the ratio of revolutions per minute is going to be 10 to 20 or 1 to 2, which means this one's going to have twice as many rotations. So if gear A rotates 100 times a minute, gear C is going to rotate 200 times a minute, which is going to be C. Okay, 27. We can zoom back in, I think. Okay, in the xy plane, the graph of 2x squared plus 6x plus 2y squared plus 2y equals 45 is a circle. What is the radius of a circle, of the circle? Yeah, so we have to do two completing the squares here, which again we haven't gotten to because we didn't do circles, but first thing I want to do is divide everything by 2. You want x squared and y squared, so I'm going to divide everything by 2. So x squared minus 3x plus y squared plus y equals 45 divided by 2. Okay, then I'm going to make a gap here. Again, the idea here, your formula for a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So we need to complete the square so that we have perfect squares so that we can put these into x minus h form. To do that, again, you have to divide this number by 2 and then square. So negative 3 divided by 2, right? Negative 3 divided by 2, and then you need to square it. Okay, so that's going to give us a positive 9 over 4. Right, you got to take this number in the middle, divide by 2, and then square it. We have to do the same thing over here. That's a 1 in front of there, so 1 divided by 2, and then we need to square it. That's going to be 1 over 4, plus 1 over 4. Okay, if we add them to that side, we got to add them to the other side. So we have to add plus 9 over 4, plus 1 over 4 to this side. Okay, I'm going to do this up here. So we're going to change 45 over 2 into 90 over 4. All right, we're just going to multiply by 2 over 2. So 45 over 2 becomes 90 over 4, plus 9 over 4, plus 1 over 4. You're going to get 100 over 4. And 100 divided by 4 equals 25. So this is going to become 25. Here, we can now, we have perfect squares. We can factor into perfect squares. So we have x minus 3 over 2 squared plus y plus 1 over 2 squared, right? And then we have equals 25. So now we've matched up with our equation. We know r squared is 25. So we know that r is going to be equal to 5. Right, you could graph it too. So we could graph the whole thing, but then it might be hard to tell which one. I'm not sure there's a way to find the distance there. You'd have to find, maybe use the distance formula or something to find the distance between 2 points. Right, so let's actually try that. Right, you could graph this whole circle. Okay, delete this, right, and my relation. 2x squared minus 6x plus 2y squared plus 2y equals 45. Okay, and there's your circle. Okay, I don't know if they give you a menu. There you go, center. They give you the center. Okay, menu, analyze, conic, right? Circles are conics. Radius. And they tell you the radius right there is 5. Look at that. So you can use a calculator. Yep, you can just graph it, okay, which we did. Menu, analyze graph, we're looking at a conic, right? So this tells you all the axis of symmetry, asymptotes, radius. It tells anything you need here, so we want the radius. You go to any point on the circle, they're going to tell you it's 5. So that's great. Okay, so that one was easy. You just had to graph it. Calculator told you the radius, right? All right, 2 different points on a lumber line are both 3 units from the point with the coordinate -4. Which of the following, the solution to which of the following equations gives the coordinate of both points? Okay, well you can try each one of these. Okay, so our 3 units from the point with the, okay, 2 different points on a number line are both 3 units away. gonna be A or B, right? Because if they're 3 units away, when you add 4 or subtract 4 from the point with the, so you're at -4. 3 units away is gonna be -1 and -7. So you want your two solutions to be negative, it's gonna be B, I think. You want your two solutions to be 3 units away from 4, so these are our two solutions here. You want x to equal -1 and -7. So the solution to which of the following equations gives the coordinates of both? So we want to then try the ones that are 3 units away each. Okay. So we want the ones that are 3 units away each, so we want to try A and B. So if we try A, you're going to have x plus 4 equals 3, and x plus 4 equals -3. So x is going to equal -1, and then x is going to equal -7. So it looks like that's going to be your answer, right? To solve an absolute value, you got to set it. You got to set up two equations, right? So x plus 4 needs to be equal to +3, and then it needs to be equal to -3, right? If you put in -7, you get -7 plus 4 is -3. The absolute value of -3 is 3. -1 plus 4 is 3. Absolute value of 3 is 3. So you need to do x plus 4 equals 3, and then x plus 4 equals -3. The reason we knew it was not C or D is because we knew the gap here was 3 on each side. Okay. And then -4 was your inside coordinate. So you really had to just check your answers for A and B to see which one worked, right? If you did this one down here, you do x minus 4 equals 3, and x minus 4 equals -3. You would have x equals 7, and x equals +1. So it's not B either. 29. Okay, a motor powers a model car, so that's starting from rest. The car travels s inches in t seconds, where s equals 16 t squared to t, which the following gives the average speed of the car in inches per second over the first t seconds after it starts. I'm sorry. A motor powers a model car so that after starting from rest, the car travels s inches in t seconds, where s equals 16 t squared to t. Which of the following gives the average speed of the car in inches per second over the first t seconds? So average is the average. We're looking for the average speed. So we're looking for the change in speed over time. So it started after t seconds, the car was going 16 t squared to t. Okay, it started at 0. Okay, and then we're looking for time minus 0. Right, so we're looking for the average speed of the car. So let's just, to simplify this, let's say if the car was started at 0, right, and then after 5 seconds it was going 20 miles an hour. Right, you would do 20 minus 0 over 5 minus 0. Right, so the average speed would be 4. Right, if it went a distance of 20 feet over 5 seconds. Sorry, let me start this explanation over. Okay, this is distance. This is distance. So if it went this far over t seconds, right, that's going to be the average it went per second. So we want to do 16 t square root of t divided by t. Okay, and the t's cancel and you just get 16 square root of t, which is answer choice B. Yeah. Okay, so we're finding average. So the total distance you went divided by the amount of time you had to go over that distance. Gives you the average speed of the car. Right, speed is distance over time. Right, and then number 30. Right, so we have a scatter plot here, annual amount of electric energy generated in millions of megawatts per hour by nuclear sources over a 10-year period, and we want to figure out which one of these equations matches up, right? Okay, so our best fit line is going to look like this. It's going to be a parabola. It's open downward, so it's negative. X squared is negative, so we can cancel off A and C. And the y-intercept is a positive 745-ish, so it has to be D. Yeah. Right, it opens downward, so it's negative, so you gotta have a negative in front of your x squared. And then again, your y-intercept, right, if you plug in 0 for x, that becomes 0, and your y-intercept is 745. So your y-intercept is 745, it's opening downward, so it's negative. Okay, that's it for the multiple choice. Now we got the free response. Okay, a group of friends decided to divide the cost, $800 cost of a trip equally among themselves. When two of the friends decided not to go, remaining still divided the $800 cost equally, but now each friend share the cost increased by $20. How many friends were in the group originally? Okay. So, let's see. They divided $800 amongst themselves. Okay. And they got some price. We'll call it T, their total. That's what each of them had to pay. Okay. Then they still divided amongst themselves, but they had 2 less people. And the share of the cost increased by $20. So when they divided by 2 less, the total, let's call this C, the cost for each, increased by $20. So they divided 800 divided by the number of people they had, gave each of them a cost. When they divided it by 2 less people, the cost went up by $20. Okay, we now have 2 equations. You can substitute, you can use menu 3.2 is the best option. Call this X, maybe we should call this Y instead of C. And then we can just use menu 3.2. Right, so menu 3.2, we got 2 equations, we can put this in. 800, we're going to do control divide. You get 800 over X equals Y. And then the other one, we again control divide. You get 800 over X minus 2 equals Y plus 20. Okay, we have an argument error. $800 over X equals Y. Oh, it's not going to be a linear. Yeah, it's not going to be a linear equation. We can't use menu 3.2. Okay, well, we can do it by hand. So let's substitute in for Y. Okay, so let me write these smaller. So our 2 ones are 800 over X equals Y, and then 800 over X minus 2 equals Y plus 20. Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to substitute in this in for Y. Okay. So we're going to have 800 over X minus 2 equals 800 over X plus 20. Okay, to add all these we need a common denominator. So I need to multiply this one by X over X. I need to multiply this one by X minus 2 over X minus 2. And I need to multiply this one by X times X minus 2 over X times X minus 2. Okay, this gives us 800X over x times x minus 2. Okay, equals, this gives me 800 times x minus 2 over x times x minus 2. And then plus 20 times, or 20x times x minus 2, all over x times x minus 2. We can now multiply the entire thing by x times x minus 2, right? And all of our denominators will cancel out. So we have 800x equals, I'm going to distribute this, so this is going to be 800x minus 1600 plus 20x squared minus 40x. Right, I distributed this, and then I distributed this. Okay. I'm gonna, alright, there's 800x on both sides, so we can cancel those off. Okay, so we're left here with 0 equals 20x squared minus 40x minus 1600. We want to solve for x. This is a good place to graph it. Okay, so right, we can graph it and then find the x-intercepts here. Okay, we have 20x squared minus 40x minus 1600. We need to zoom out a little. Okay, menu, analyze graph, find the zeros. Menu, analyze graph, find the 0. Negative 8 and positive 10. So negative 8 and 10. If we do this out by hand, we can divide by 20. If we divide everything by 20, you would get 0 equals x squared minus 2x. 1600 divided by 20 is going to be 80. 8, the 80. Okay, so then you can do 0 equals x minus 10, x plus 8. So you get x equals 10, x equals negative 8, just like we got on the graph. And we want to know how much, right, you can't have a negative because that's going to give us a negative amount of people. How many friends were in the original group? Well, the original group had 10 friends. Okay, so 31 is going to be 10. It's a big problem. Find the value of x. Okay, you can do this by hand. 10x minus 40 minus 15 minus 8x equals 7. And just use menu 3-1 from the beginning on this. You didn't even have to do it by hand. 2x minus 55 equals 7. 2x add 55, that's 62. X is going to be equal to 31. So they give you a hard one and then a super easy one. This one though is even easier. You should just use the calculator. Should just use menu 3-1, 2 parenthesis 5x minus 20 close parenthesis minus parenthesis 15 plus 8x close parentheses equals 7 comma x enter 31. So they give you a hard one, then they give you a really easy one. Okay, 33. A laboratory supply company produces a graduated cylinders. So we're looking at cylinders with an internal radius of 2 inches and an internal height of 7.75 inches and 8 inches between. Okay, what is the possible volume rounded to the nearest cubic inch? So if you go all the way up to the beginning of the test, they give you a volume sheet. Okay, we're looking at the cylinder. So volume for us is pi r squared h. Alright. So it's on the sheet for you. All these volumes, all these areas, they're on there for you. Okay. What is one possible volume? Well, oops. That was weird. Okay, pi r squared h. So volume equals pi. Radius, it told us, was 2. Height, pick anything between those two numbers. What's the possible value? Just pick one of those two. I'm going to pick 8. And I'm going to put it in my calculator. I'm going to round, just like tell me, to the nearest cubic inch, so the nearest whole number. So I'm going to do pi times 2 squared times 8. And it gives me 100.5, which rounds up to 101, and that's one of the acceptable answers on there. Okay, you could have picked any of 7.75, 7.8, 7.9, 7.95, any of those, and then you just round up to a whole number. The acceptable answers were 97, 98, 99, 100, and 101. All of those were acceptable answers. But it says to round to the nearest inch. You got to make sure you do that or they're going to mark it wrong. You got to do what the question asks. 34. In the xy plane, the graph of 3x squared minus 14x intersects the graph of y equals x at the points 0, 0, and AA. What is the value of AA? Well, we can use the calculator. Graph them both. Okay, so y, let's add a new graph. Okay, y equals, what was it? 3x squared. We can just delete this to get a relation if we want. Y equals 3x squared minus 14x. Okay, and then tab up. Oh, you don't want to go up. Y equals x is our next one, or f of x equals. Okay, menu, analyze graph. We're looking for an intersection. 0, 0 is the one they told us about. We want to find the other one, so menu, analyze graph, intersection. Click before, click after. 5, 5, right there. So, what's the value of A? The value of A would be 5. Okay, if we want to do it out by hand, you can set them equal to each other, right? They're both equal y, so they equal each other. So x is going to equal 3x squared minus 14x. Subtract x from both sides, you get 0 equals 3x squared minus 15x. You pull out a 3x, and you're left with x minus 5. So then you get x equals 0 and x equals 5. So then 5, 5. So A equals 5. So use the graph. Use it by hand, either way works, as long as you don't screw up. Okay, 35. Again, use the calculator here. We have a line with the equation, so let's put it in. Okay, let's open a new graph. Okay, delete this, do relation. 4 over 5, control divide, 4 over 5 x plus, control divide, 1 over 3 y answer. We're looking for the x coordinate of the x-intercept, so analyze graph, looking for the 0, 1.25. Just like that. Again, we went to menu, analyze graph 0, that was 1.25. Okay, if you want to do it by hand, you put in a 0 here. So you put in a 0, that becomes 0, and you get 4x over 5 equals 1. Multiply by 5, so 4x is equal to 5, so x equals 5 over 4, which equals 1.25. So either of those answers are good. All right. 36. Andrew and Marie collect 6 rocks, and the masses of the rocks are shown in the table above. The mean of the masses of the rocks collected that Maria collected is 0.1 kilometers greater than the mean of the masses of the rocks Andrew collected. What is the value of x? So let's first find the mean for Andrew. So 2.4 plus 2.5 plus 3.6 plus 3.1 plus 2.5 plus 2.7. And there are 6 of those, so we would divide by 6. So 2.4 plus 2.5 plus 3.6 plus 3.1 plus 2.5 plus 2.7. Okay, and there are 6 of them, so our average is 2.8. Okay, that is for Andrew. Average is, the mean is 2.8. Okay, for Maria, the mean of the masses of the rocks Maria collected is 0.1 kilograms greater than the mean of Andrew. So her average is going to be 2.9. Okay, so here we're going to have x plus 3.1 plus 2.7 plus 2.9 plus 3.3 plus 2.8 divided by 6 is going to equal 2.9 because her average is 2.9. So then we can do 2.9 times 6, and then that's 17.4, and then we can subtract all these. So minus 3.1, minus 2.7, minus 2.9, minus 3.3, minus 2.8, and we get x to be 2.6. Yep. All right, 2 more. Okay, Jeremy deposited X dollars in his investment account on January 1st, 2001. The amount of money in the account doubled each year until Jeremy had $480 in his investment account. On January 1st, 2005, what is the value of X? Okay, so again, we have final, initial. It's doubling each year, so that's 2 to the t. Right, you have to multiply every year. You have to multiply that initial amount by 2. Okay, and it's telling him after. Well, hold up. So he invested initial amount of money, so X, right? So his initial investment was X. Doubled each year until he had $480. So that was 4 years. And after 4 years, he had $480. We want to figure out how much he started with. Okay, so his final is 480. It's been 4 years. And we're doubling, so your number here is 2. It's a 200% increase. Right? It's like 1 plus 1. Right? It's like 100% increase. So you put a 2 there. Okay, 480 then equals, that's 4 times, 2 to the 4th is 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8 times 2 is 16. So then we can do 480 divided by 16, which is 30. So we initially had $30. Right, after 1 year, I went to 60, 120, 240, 480. Okay. Let me just make sure. Yep, we got one more. Okay, a school district is forming a committee to discuss plans for the construction of a new high school. Of those invited to join the committee, 15% are parents, 45% are teachers from the current high school, 25% are school and district administrators, and the remaining 6 individuals are students. How many more teachers were invited to join the committee than school and district administrators? So here we have 15 plus 45 plus 25. Oops, not times. 15 plus 25 plus 45, right? 85. So that means 15% were students, right? Because if 15% are parents, 45% are teachers, 25% are school and district administrators, and the remaining are students, then the remaining has to be 15%. Okay, so to find the total number, right, the total number of people here times 15, right, because 15% of the total is going to give us 6 students. So that's the equation we need to use to find the total number of people. The total number of people times 0.15, so 15% of the total is going to give us 6. So divide both sides by 0.15, so 6 divided by 0.15 is going to give t equal to 40. So there's 40 total people here. How many were teachers? 45%. So 40 times 0.45 is 18. So 18 teachers. Okay. School and district administrators is 40 times 0.25, which is 10. Okay, so how many more teachers were there than school and district administrators? 18 minus 10 is going to give us 8. There were 8 more teachers than district administrators. Okay. Yep, and that is practice test 6.